Everton's season has kind of been thrown into a bit of disarray with their 10-point points deduction in the Premier League, and we start this season in charge of Everton with that 10 points deduction. We have one real objective, and that is to not get relegated, although I think we should be good enough to not get relegated, so let's set a stretch goal, shall we? Let's try and get into Europe. It might be a bit too much to ask. And the reason why I say that is because we've only got £1 million transfer budget to spend. We've got a bit of wage budget, but the problem is, if we look at our squad, we have some players on stupidly high money who aren't necessarily very good. Doucouré, he's not bad, but £120,000 a week, he's not worth that. Andre Gomez on £120,000 a week as well is not worth it. Dele Alli on £100,000 a week is arguably not worth it, and he's injured all the time. We've got some huge earners, and I think that needs to be our objective in the summer transfer window, is to shift on some of the big earners and maybe see if we can invest some money somewhere else. Also, it might be pretty helpful if the owner, Farhad Mossiri, leaves the club, sells it to somebody else, because I kind of think he's hindering us a little bit when it comes to the finances, because we do have nearly £900 million worth of debt. It's a lot of debt. So, with the transfer window now closed, the season has kicked off, and we are, after 3 games, still bottom of the league. But we have won one of the 3 games. We've not started particularly well. Let's talk about transfers first. In an attempt to try and get some of the high earners off the wage bill, we've basically loaned out a lot of people, and some of their wages are being covered. So Andre Gomez has gone out on loan to Las Palmas. Abdoulaye Doucouré has gone out on loan to Real San Sebastian or Real Sociedad, and Idrissa Gueye has also gone over to Real Sociedad, joining him both on loan. We've also got rid of the 39-year-old Andy Lonergan. He's gone on a free transfer to Portsmouth, which we didn't ever want to play him. He's now played his first professional game since 2018, I assume. It wasn't just players leaving the club, though. We did manage to bring in a few players, nobody particularly spectacular. Jean-Paul Botius is the first one, formerly of Hertha Berlin, on a free transfer. He's not going to play a huge amount of football, but he's a good squad player. Another good squad player, he's very old, is Luis Gustavo. At 36 years of age, was playing over in Saudi Arabia last year, has been released. I brought him in because he's a very good player, even though he's old. We're only going to get a year out of him, so I'm kind of okay with that. But we did also spend some money, £9.5 million in total on Patrick Berg, because we've done some rearranging where we've got some more wage budget. We managed to kind of push some into the transfer budget and all that kind of fancy stuff. So we have brought in Patrick Berg, the 25-year-old Norwegian midfielder, defensive midfielder, has come in, and I think he's going to be a very useful player for us. And just to kind of give you an idea of the formation and the squad that we're going to be playing, we are going to be playing a 4-2-3-1 formation, and if we sort by this, we are basically hard-picking Patterson, Branthwaite, Godfrey, Garner, Berg and Onana, playing as an attacking midfielder because we don't have anyone who can play there, and I think he can do a job in that role. So that's what we're going to do. Every other position, I'm not too fussed. We're going to let the manager, the assistant manager, pick who's going to play in those ones. But that's kind of what we're going to force play. And if we take a look at the club vision, you can see there that there is a takeover in progress. So Mossiri may not be at the club for too much longer, which sounds good. However, I have noticed on the debts, there is a gift loan repayable to the chairperson on departure. So if he leaves, we might need to give him £381 million. I assume anybody who buys the club knows that, so they're going to put in an extra £381 million just to cover that, I hope. From a results perspective, it has not been very good at all. We've played 4 matches, 3 in the league, 1 in the cup. We are knocked out of the Carabao Cup because we lost on penalties. We were awful against Sheffield United. We lose 3-1 against Bournemouth. We lose 2-1 against Tottenham, but we do somehow manage to beat Chelsea. Patrick Berg with the only goal of the game in this one. Does mean, obviously, we're rooted to the bottom of the table, but we're probably going to be there until about January. And speaking of January, we are here already. It is the 1st of January. We've now played 20 games, and as you can see from the league table on the bottom left-hand side, we have moved up to 16th place in the table on 16 points. Without the points deduction, we'd be 10th. So, we've actually turned things around pretty impressively. If we have a look results-wise, it doesn't look that impressive, does it? Lots of draws, but draws against big sides. Draws with Liverpool and Man United. A 4-4 draw with Newcastle. Calvert-Lewin scoring the equaliser in the 97th minute. We then went on a good run through November and December, losing just 1 match against Villa, beating Burnley, Brighton, Arsenal, 4-0 against Arsenal. That's a ridiculously good result. Beating Luton as well, beating Wolves, drawing with Chelsea, Fulham, Palace, West Ham, Sheffield United and Newcastle over the course of, 2.5 months. That's what it means. And that is why we are now currently 16th place in the table. And I think My kind of estimation or my target of trying to get into Europe, I don't think is too ridiculous. I honestly don't think it's too ridiculous. And if we take a look at our finances for this January transfer window, we have some money to spend, nearly £20 million to spend. We've got, nearly £100,000 per week wage budget as well. And you might think that's because Mosseri's left. He's still here. He didn't sell up, he's still here, but I'm hoping he does leave. When it comes to our squad for the first half of the season, we've actually done quite well, as we can see. I've sorted this by average rating, so Jack Harrison has been really, really good for us playing on the wings, getting 6 assists, 3 goals as well to his name. Patterson also 3 goals, 5 assists from right back. Onana playing as the attacking midfielder with 7 goals, 3 assists, so 10 goal contributions. 10 goal contributions as well for Calvert-Lewin, most of them obviously being goals, but we are doing pretty good. I'm not quite sure what transfer business we're going to look at doing in January. I do want to try and shift on a few more of these high earners. Dele Alli, for example, is wanted. He's wanted on loan, or he might be off to Saudi Arabia. Let's see what happens with Dele Alli, shall we? The transfer window has closed, and we have moved slightly further up the table thanks to a very good result there you can see against Manchester City. Before we get to that though, we are going to take a look at the transfer business that we have done. We've sold 2 big name players to other clubs in January. First up, Luis Gustavo. Didn't really work out. I wasn't expecting it to. He did play 8 times, scoring a goal. He's moved over to Uruguay for £17,750. Not a lot of money, but we're not going to miss him. And we did sell Dele Alli over to Saudi Arabia. He's gone to Al Ittihad for about £2.4 million, which actually, considering how much money he was earning, that's a good bit of money. He's actually earning less money in Saudi Arabia as well. So Dele Alli has moved over, and we've got £100,000 off of our wage budget. But we have started to fill it back up again. Jose Campaña is the first player joining on a free transfer. He's actually on a free at the start of the season. I wanted to bring him in, but he was actually injured, so we couldn't get him in until January. At 30 years of age, he's not going to be the first name on the team sheet, but he is actually going to provide competition for Onana in that attacking midfield spot. We've also picked up a backup goalkeeper in the shape of Andrei Lunin, the 24-year-old Ukrainian international, signed from Real Madrid for just £2.1 million, which I think is a very good bit of business. He's a good goalkeeper. He's definitely a good goalkeeper. He's obviously not as good as Pickford, which is why he's our backup. But if we were to sell Pickford, Lunin would quite easily slot into that number 1 role. We've also brought in Marin Pongracic from Lecce, or Salento as they are known in-game. He's cost £2.4 million. He was out of contract at the end of the season, and I thought, you know what, let's just buy him out. Let's bring him in. I think we need a bit more quality when it comes to defenders. Pongracic actually is relatively cheap, relatively okay, 26 years of age. I don't think it's a terrible signing. Moving into the big money now, we have Christian Thorsved, who is a 24-year-old Norwegian central midfielder. He has cost £13.5 million from Sassuolo over in Italy, but I think we've got ourselves a very good player. He's probably going to be pushing Onana out of that slot at the moment, although maybe Thorsved could be retrained to be a defence midfielder. Potentially that's something that we could do with him. And finally, I wasn't convinced this was a good idea, and I'm going to need someone in the comments to tell me it was a good idea, or it was a bad idea, I don't know. Tyrell Malacia, signed from Man United, just 24, 9 caps for Holland. He's cost £16 million, potentially going up to 19. He was transfer listed, they weren't playing him, and arguably, we kind of need another left-back. We've got Michaelenko, and that's pretty much it. So having Malacia and Michaelenko battling it out for that starting left-back position, I think is actually very good for us. Quick owner update, he's still here, he's not left yet, but there is another takeover in progress. I'm hoping by the end of this season, Mosseri has gone. And I know we've only played a few matches throughout January, but we've done okay in the league. We've won twice and we've lost once. Bournemouth have done the double over us. They beat us at the start of the season and beating us now. We then lost to them eventually in the FA Cup third round, and then we beat Spurs and we beat Man City. I don't really know how we keep beating teams like Spurs and Man City and losing to Bournemouth, but there we are. And that is how the league table looks on the 31st of January. We are now going to jump forward to around the 1st of April, I believe. So we're going to play all of these matches, so 8 games, and come back for the final 7. And hopefully we can see where we are on the table and see whether actually Europe is a possibility. I think we should be safe from relegation. So it's 9 AM on the 1st of April, and we are up to 13th, so we haven't really jumped too far up. If we add on that 10 points, we would be actually 9th place in the table. Better than Newcastle, better than Chelsea, better than West Ham. So, I think we've had a pretty successful season so far. Obviously, it's not over yet. I think Europe is now too far out of reach, but we've done some ridiculous results. we've just beaten Brighton 7-1. I don't know what happened. Dominic Calvert-Lewin scoring 4, Thorsford getting a goal, Dwight McNeil and Amadou Onana also on the score sheet. That comes off the back of 3 0-0 draws in the row. I mean, I'd rather us spread those goals out and pick up, 12 points? Rather than just picking up the 3 points there and 1 point for all of those. So, anyway, doesn't matter. We've also managed to beat Brentford, drew with Nottingham Forest, and then defeats against Liverpool and Man United. But 13th place in the table at the moment is pretty good. We've got 7 games left to play. Some of them, most of them potentially are winnable. I think Arsenal is obviously going to be a tough game to play. I think Villa is going to be a tough game. They're actually up in 3rd, which is mad. Wolves we should beat. Luton we should be good enough to beat. Fulham we should be good enough to beat. Palace, West Ham, I guess maybe we should hope to win 4 out of the 7 and maybe a couple of draws in there as well. That'll be good. But before we move any further, we have ourselves a new chairperson, and that is Karen Baird, who I believe was at Salford, if I'm not mistaken. I think when she came in, I got a news article and it said, yeah, Karen Baird, formerly of Salford. So we've got Karen Baird in. Fair enough. Welcome to the club, Karen. I'm hoping you provide us with some finances. Right now we haven't, okay? Let's check. I haven't checked this actually. Is the loan gone? You paid off the loan. Okay, you paid off the massive loan to Masiri. That's good. We've still got 500 million debt to pay off. But we do have, arguably, that's like 30 years to pay that off. That's not a problem. That's the second smallest of the debts. It's this one here. That's the killer. And we've only got 20 years to pay off that. That's fine. 20 years is not a problem. Right, let's jump forward then to the end of the season and see how well we do over the last 7 games. Like I said, 4 wins out of 7 I will take. I think if we can finish top half would most definitely be a very good season. So 12th place it is then, 45 points in the end. If we didn't have that minus 10 points deduction, we would be on 55 points, which would put us up into 9th, again, ahead of Chelsea and Newcastle. So I think we've done very, very well. Considering we trimmed down our squad massively, shifted on some high-earning players, I think we've improved the team. Honestly, I think we've improved the team. We did also manage to pick up the 4 wins that I expected, so we beat Palace, Fulham, Villa and Wolves. We drew with Luton, which is a surprise. I wasn't expecting to beat Villa. How did we beat Villa? I was expecting to beat Luton, but we drew 0-0 with Luton. We lose against West Ham, we lose against Arsenal, but end of the day, I think that's pretty successful. 4 wins and a draw out of the final 7. I will take that. And there is a summary of the 3 competitions. So the Premier League, we know we finished 12th place. FA Cup, knocked out by Bournemouth. Carabao Cup, we got knocked out in the literal first round on penalties against Sheffield United. We were focusing on the league, guys, okay? We got knocked out in the first round of every competition we entered. That's pretty embarrassing. And finishing the season then, this is our team, sorted by highest average rating. So at the very top of the list, it is Nathan Patterson as our best player over the season. And 4 goals, 12 assists is ridiculously high. Jack Harrison as well. He'd be a big miss if we do season 2 with Everton. Getting 11 assists, 6 goals, 21 goals for Calvert-Lewin. Onana scoring 12. We did have a little bit of a change as well when it comes to the players that we're force playing. I stopped force playing Onana because I wanted to make sure that Thorsford and Onana kind of rotated. And it looks like that's kind of what's happened. Patrick Berg is there, played pretty well, getting 4 goals and 3 assists to his name. I did force play Malacia as well because he wasn't playing. So Malacia played 16 times, didn't get a single assist. Maybe that wasn't the best signing, but he did all right, didn't he? Let's be honest, he did okay. Well, that is going to do it then for our 1 season with Everton challenge. We survived relegation, and in fact, we finished comfortably in mid-table, and Masiri has left. So all in all, everybody's had a lovely time. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy, do please remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and tell me what other clubs you'd like to see me do a 1 season challenge with, and give me some objectives as well, because if I've got objectives, I've got something to try and do. Something funny as well. I do like the funny ones, like sell all the old players or play with only Welsh people as Wrexham. I don't know.